Here's what can go wrong at your naturalization interview. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration attorney practicing law around the United States, but based here in St. Louis, Missouri. Last week I went to a naturalization interview. I actually went to two on the same day, and I had the opportunity to think and reflect on what people do right and what people do wrong when they go to their interview. The second person did fine. She did everything right. She answered all the questions correctly. She was well prepared, organized, got there on time, did everything that you would want a client to do. The first interview, not so much. I knew we might be in trouble when I met with the client a few weeks ahead of time. You know, every time we have an interview, we bring our clients in ahead of time, sometimes once, sometimes twice, to get them ready for the interview. And what we do is we go over the application. And when I started going over the application with this particular fellow, he was from Iraq, and when I went over it, it was pretty clear quickly that he was not ready for the exam. The first question I asked him is if he had ever voted, and he didn't understand me in English. This particular man had spent a lot of time outside of the United States, and I don't think his English was up to snuff. You know, we do a lot of work here on behalf of our clients. We prepare all the forms, we gather all the documents, we make sure everything's signed correctly, proper filing fees are paid, all that stuff. The one thing we can't do at an interview is to actually answer the questions. And in this particular case, I was just as worried with the questions of the interview itself as I was of the test questions for the English and civics part of the exam. And so here's how it went. He was lucky enough to have a very nice officer who, in all honesty, was trying to do everything she could to help him along. Some officers really view their role as figuring out ways to say no and deny the case. This particular officer is a nice person, and she was doing what she could to help him. She didn't break any rules or anything, she just gave him every benefit of the doubt. So she began by having him read a sentence in English, and he was able to do that. Then she asked him to write this sentence: "The President lives in the White House." The President lives in the White House. She repeated it several times for him. And he wrote, President instead of President, lives White House. One thing we see sometimes is that people leave out the little describers or adjectives or short words ahead of the main words, like the and, but he was also spelling president incorrectly. So she said, I can't give you that one. She proceeded to give him two more questions, and he was not able to write out either of them. And one of them also had president in the answer, which was President's Day is in February, and he kept writing present. So she wasn't able to pass him on that. She then gave him the civics exam, and he only got 2 right out of 10. And he was basically just throwing out answers that didn't make any sense. For example, she asked him, who led the civil rights movement? And he said, New York City. So I don't say this to make fun of him or to downgrade him, but rather that sometimes people file and they're not ready. We proceeded to the interview itself, and actually he did really well on that. He had been practicing that between the time of our preparation and the time of the interview itself, so he actually did okay on that, but it was pretty rough going. Like I said, we can't answer the questions for you. We can help you get prepared. They do ask the questions in the application. The questions are all designed to figure out if there are statutory or regulatory bars to someone becoming a citizen, and that's really what the questions are all about. The questions all have meaning. It's not just being asked willy-nilly. It's all in order to allow the Immigration Service to follow the law and to see if there are any issues that are related to the person becoming a citizen. So I guess the lesson is that, 1, you want to make sure that you're ready to file. 2, you want to spend time going over the application. There's a cadence to the questions, there's a rhythm to it, and although the questions are stacked in a way that for most people they answer no on most questions until they get to the questions about the oath, that you still have to be able to understand English, because sometimes people ask things differently than the way that the question is written in the questions in the exam itself. So on the N400 there's a list of the questions, and sometimes people just get into this rhythm of saying no, 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 but you can't do that, because, for instance, in this particular interview, she asked if he had any overdue taxes, and then she said, but she quickly said, do you pay your taxes on time? And if he just was saying no, 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 he could have gotten tripped up on that. I've seen another lady one time where they asked, have you ever helped anyone sneak into the United States? And she sort of jumped at it and said, help, help, yeah, I'll help whoever. So you really have to listen to the questions, you have to be thorough, you have to make sure that your answer is correct, and you really have to spend the time going over the questions. Sometimes our clients will have family members read them to them in English and then read them to them in their home language. That is helpful because that helps them understand what the question is asking. I know it's very difficult. If I went to take an exam in Russia or Paraguay or anywhere else in a language that I don't speak, I understand that it's very, very difficult, but they're not going to naturalize you. And for this particular fellow, they're giving him 60 days to study and take the exam once again. I don't think we'll have to go over the interview questions themselves, maybe several or a few, but we're not going to have to do the whole interview over again. But he is going to have to be able to write that sentence in English, and he is going to have to be able to answer the civics questions and get 6 out of 10 right. So hopefully he'll pull it off. We're here to help him. We're here to help you. If you have any questions about the naturalization process or about the interview, give us a call, 314-961-8200, or you can email us at jim@hackinglawpractice.com. Thanks a lot.